Now today, we have a few updates for you. Had a list of things that had been accomplished. RFK, of course, he's been on a tear. That he had long wanted to do was to turn that nasty old food pyramid upside down. For years, they promoted a diet that caused insulin resistance and diabetes. Whenever we went to Dr. Green, he said, well, Kevin's diabetic. This is funny. If anybody knows Kevin, as quick as the doctor said, well, I'm going to put you on medicine, he goes, I'm not going on medicine. You don't have to go hungry. This food pyramid, this is great. He lost like 60 or 65 pounds. You have to recognize these things before you can actually fix them.
My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
Welcome, everyone, to the Patriot Project on Mugwump Media. Kevin, it's the middle of January. What the heck? Where has it gone? How's your January been?
Pretty good. We've had balmy weather. We've had temperatures in the 60s and 70s, pretty normal, and I'm getting used to it. I'm thinking I kind of see why people move to Southern California or Florida.
Oh, gosh. Besides the crazy politics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here we are in the Ozarks with balmy weather.
I know. It's been a really nice January so far. I know, turning cold. Well, It is the middle of January.
Yeah.
So glad that you guys joined us today. Now, today, we have a few updates for you from the last week or so that you might have heard of. It may have been a blip on the news. It may have been going by on the little ticker. It's one of those things that you see it, but you're like, well, okay, what does that mean? So that's kind of what I thought I would do today, is catch us up on some of that. And Kevin, I was telling Kevin about this. I have been receiving something very mysterious in my emails. It's something called the White House wire. Kevin, had you heard about this before?
Well, I did a couple of days ago when you stumbled across it, and you were laughing, giggling, tee-heeing, and guff-hauling a lot. I guess that's what you was listening to and reading.
It's been going on for like 3 weeks, maybe 4. And I kept seeing things. I don't think it was called the White House wire yet. Somebody is doing graphics for him, and it's hilarious. You think the Daily Wire. No, it's the White House wire. But it's been popping up on my email. And I'm assuming that it's a push that he's making on social media, trying to reach out to people, basically to fight the narrative. Man, the crazy narrative with all the ICE stuff that's going on and just everything. You know, the left is just trying to completely destroy him. And I think it's brilliant. I mean, you know, when you think about it, having information and being able to make your own talking points from the information that you're receiving helps to combat the other side.
Of course, Trump doesn't fight fair. I like some of the content he had. You know, it's kind of neat to go ahead and call out to have awards for liars and for cheaters and for deceivers, and he just kind of calls them out on it. And he's never shy about just going ahead and saying things.
One of the first ones, I read it and I thought, oh my! But he basically had it was like the number one lying media person of the week. Mm-hmm. I told Kevin about it. I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it's got some good information too. So there was one today. Today's Wednesday, the 14th. As you guys know, we usually, it takes us a few days to get everything uploaded. So we're going a little bit ahead of the Saturday date when we usually will release things.
Hopefully he'll start having awards ceremonies with that. I think that add a good layer of entertainment to it all.
So funny. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff that he puts up there, different little sections.
Mm-hmm.
Today there was something, actually this was on last week. It was something called, what was it? Oh, good grief, things you might have missed or something, I don't know. But basically it had a list of things that had been accomplished over a week's time. And he was trying to, bring some focus on it, but also to show how he was resolving things. So we thought that we would bring a few of those updates from the last week or so that you, like I said, may not have heard about. Now, the White House wire. Oh, read that scripture for me. This is what this reminds me of. He's got a couple of things. We need information. Go ahead.
Yep. Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge.
Yeah. And I like the scripture from Isaiah, too, the one right below it. That one's perfect in a slightly different way.
Isaiah 54:17 repeats that message in a slightly different way. I like the way you put commentary on the notes that you give me.
Of course I do.
It's pretty thorough.
Of course I do.
Anyway, the scripture is there.
Therefore.
Almost messed it up. Therefore, my people. You know what? Your writing's really hard to read.
I'm sorry, I scribble.
Well, I could go ahead and wing it, but I probably better go ahead and just read it now that I can read your writing again.
Okay.
Therefore, my people go into exile for their lack of knowledge.
And you know what, folks? That one really rang true to me, because when you think about it, it goes in a little bit deeper than what Hosea did. My people go into exile for their lack of knowledge. I told Kevin, how many months is it now that we have to work in order to pay for our taxes?
There's, you know what? I haven't figured it out. All I know is come January now, I know used to in just a week or so, we could get all our paperwork together to do our taxes and get all our forms and everything filled out for business. Now the entire month and we're not done. We've got an accountant. We've got a bookkeeper. We have got, we just got a small mom and pop business, and oh my goodness, the amount of paperwork that's involved in just staying in business and trying to stay up with everything is just, it's absurd.
And everybody taxes
too much.
Us.
Yeah.
Everybody. We're taxed by everybody. What started out as, well, you know, we've had a war, we're broke, we need some money, is now we're taxed all the time on everything. Yep. It's absolutely ridiculous. We are debt slaves.
Yep.
And I'm not saying that to be negative, folks. You have to recognize these things before you can actually fix them. And I reject it. I reject being a debt slave.
Yeah, it's not. This is not necessary.
No.
And with all the money being wasted, we're learning about. You know what? It's these are some of those things. This is that exposure, and these are the things that we've got to set right again.
Yeah.
People have got to be able to make a living without having to work for the government just to fill out paperwork.
Oh,
for
that
them.
is so right.
It's not reasonable.
We don't have to go into exile for lack of knowledge. We're going to get that knowledge. So, actions of the week, that's what it's called. I chose a few of them.
Oh, that's Trump's newsletter?
Actions of the week.
Okay, very good.
Which ones do you...
I want to brag on our county commissioner first.
Oh, okay.
Just before I came home, I stopped by and visited with Lynn Morris, our county commissioner.
Yeah.
I walked in his office, and the first thing he did, he shoved this newsletter in front of me. And I said, "What is this, Lynn?" And he went ahead and explained. He said, "Well, I'm putting out a newsletter so everybody in the county can know what's going on." But anyway, he's emailing it out. They've got hard copies they pass out if you go. So, you know what? Great minds think alike. Kind of neat to see our county commissioner was, well, in my world, he was a little bit ahead of Trump. So I'll just go ahead and brag on him on that. There
you go. There you go. Yeah, very good. Anyway, and hopefully we'll be, I think we're going to be on his show here before too long, and I want to have him on our show too. We like Lynn. Lynn Morris is a good guy. Now, the first thing I was going to give you guys a little bit of, and I know you know this because it's been a little while. This was the 7th of January, so you guys know that this came about. RFK, of course, he's been on a tear. There's lots of stuff that's changing, and he is being multiple lawsuits. He is getting sued by everybody, of course, for various reasons. But this was one of the things that he had long wanted to do, was to turn that nasty old food pyramid upside down. Right, Kevin?
Well, I'm waiting to hear all this.
Yeah, what to know about the new upside-down food pyramid. The latest federal dietary guidelines reverse some long-standing recommendations in the interest of making Americans healthier. This was done on the 7th. First, and of course, this was from the Epic Times. Love them. The Department of Agriculture has turned the familiar food pyramid upside down significantly revising the dietary guidelines used by schools, federal nutrition programs, and millions of Americans. They have told us stuff for years that has not been helpful, especially people mine and Kevin's age. Let me tell you, folks. Because if you have a chance, check out the food pyramid, the new one. Now, the old one that was done in 1992 basically has the big part at the bottom, the skinny part at the top. And, you were always told, well, you only need a little bit of meat. You don't need much meat. But, you need, was it 9 to 11? I think 9 to 11 or 6 to 11 daily. There it is, 6 to 11 servings daily of breads and carbs and rices and potatoes. And, you can have that stuff, 6 to 11 servings of breads and grains, basically, starchy stuff. So, we never thought anything of it over the years. We just continued on. Well, when Kevin and I turned 61, we got COVID, first of all. He did okay. I about kicked the bucket. I tell you, if he hadn't set up with me all night long, I ended up going on oxygen the whole 9 yards. The good thing about it was we ended up going to a doctor that is, let's just say he's not affiliated with anybody.
We had to go find a new doctor.
We did.
And we found a good one.
We found a really good
one. We found
one
one that would treat us like we asked.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Our daughter found him for us. And she said, Mom, if anything happens with COVID, you need it. So that's what we did. When the old doctor who was affiliated with big medical stuff said, well, you've both got it. So just go stay home, shelter in place. If you get to where you can't breathe, then go to the emergency room. We'll put you on a ventilator and you may not come back out. Anyway, this particular doctor, shout out to Dr. Green, this particular doctor, wonderful guy, and he got us the stuff we needed, got us ivermectin, got us the monoclonal antibodies, so we got over it. We went back to see him a couple of months later, and oh my goodness, Kevin we had been eating various stuff that we shouldn't have been for a while. Again,
following the old pyramid.
Thinking you can eat all the breads that you want. And plus the stuff that's in the breads. Stuff is not as good as it used to be. Anyway, whenever we went to Dr. Green, he said, well, Kevin's diabetic and you have issues. And he said we needed to change our diets. And of course, Kevin, the first thing Kevin said, this is funny. If anybody knows Kevin, he's hilarious because as quick as the doctor said, well, I'm going to put you on medicine, he goes, I'm not going on medicine.
Actually, I started out by saying, well, that's just not going to work for me. I'm not going on medicine.
Well, the first thing you did was look at him straight in the eye and say, I'm not going on medicine. Then he turned and looked at me and he said, I'm not going on medicine, as if, you think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding. So the first thing I did is I asked the doctor, I said, I don't know do you have a book? Do you have recipes? What do I do? He said, I would recommend the paleo diet. And he said, you can eat there. You really are not extremely limited. There's a lot of good stuff you can eat. Vegetables, fruits. You can eat full fat dairy, of course, even though fat was considered bad for so many years. Full fat dairy. You can eat meats, lots of different kinds of meats. You can eat eggs. You can eat cheese. You can eat a lot of good stuff. You don't have to go hungry.
All sounded good.
Yeah. The new food pyramid.
Well, he kind of defied the old pyramid just right off the bat. He's a little bit ahead of his time, too. You know what? We're surrounded by people that are ahead of the curve. I'm liking that. Yep.
But anyway, that's what we did. And I went home and I just threw everything out of the pantry. I threw it all out. And one thing he told me, I said, do you have a book? And he said, no. He said, what you need to do, he told me the basic stuff you could eat. And he said, look it up online. There's a lot of information. And he said, here's the main thing. He said, you read the back of whatever you purchase. And if it's not a green leafy vegetable or something like that, if it's in a box, he said, you read and make sure that it's very low carb and very low sugar. And honestly, that's what we followed. He lost like 60 or 65 pounds.
And I didn't quit eating. I was eating as much as I always did. If we just started eating different stuff. And oh my goodness, I started feeling better. After about a month, I felt like I had the flu. It was the carbs, getting weaned off the carbs. Absolutely. I thought I had the flu, and I thought, well, boy, I'm getting worse instead of better. But finally, I began to feel better, and it's like, I was eating all I wanted. And, well, here several years later, everything that dropped off stayed off. I haven't changed anything other than just what we eat, and even the times we eat, we do the same. So
oh yeah, absolutely, and that's the thing too. Dr. Peter Berg, I love what he said, and I listened to him a few videos that he's done. He said for over 40 years, the foundations of our dietary guidelines have been grains. Again, if you look at the new food pyramid, basically you've got the big fat part up at the top, and it's all those foods that Dr. Green told us about.
Mm-hmm.
It's the good food. It's the stuff Grandma and Grandpa used to grow in the garden and butcher and eat. Yep. They'd make cheese. They'd have chickens. They'd have eggs. It's the stuff that,
they grew and raised their food rather than went to the grocery store. And that was what they had was meat and vegetables.
That's
lots of both.
And fruits and stuff like that. And you can eat that stuff. But all those things are at the big top part of the new food pyramid. And down at the bottom, the skinny part, is whole grains. Yeah. So
don't need a lot of them.
No, but this is what he said. He said the dietary guidelines, it has showed that you need 6 to 11 servings daily of grains, and a lot of the grains have stuff sprayed on them, the glyphosate that's not good. It's really not. So it has basically, what Dr. Berg also said, for years they promoted a diet that caused insulin resistance and diabetes. That's why he goes on to say 90% of our health issues, a lot of the insulin resistance and diabetes and cholesterol stuff. Did you know that, Kevin, that in 2015, all they could talk about, that was why they initially put me on statins. Oh, cholesterol, you've got high cholesterol. They now know, in 2015, they quietly erased the cholesterol limits. Because, and Dr. Green told me this, it's not even so much the cholesterol that's in your blood, it's whether or not you have good cholesterol, basically, to level it out. If you, it's not even so much necessarily the bad cholesterol, it's having enough of the good cholesterol, which you get from fish, you get it from olive oil, you get it from nuts. I mean, there's things you can eat that have good cholesterol in it to balance you out. It's a balance. Insulin resistance, the thing that we knew from the very beginning, because I struggle with that for sure, is we don't eat as often. You've heard of intermittent fasting. Anybody my age, just to kind of let you know how we dealt with it, I ended up losing about 30 pounds. I'm probably about 20 pounds down now, maybe 25 on a good week, but holding pretty steady and doing pretty good health-wise. Not eating, waiting to eat until lunch, if you can get by with it at all, helps. And then again, low carb and low sugar. And you can still eat. You don't have to go hungry, but you just have to be cautious what you eat. This food pyramid, this is great. And this is going to be very helpful for people, I believe.
Worked for us.
Oh my gosh, it worked for us for sure. Dr. Marty McCary, I loved a couple of things that he said about it too, and I won't go into the whole thing, but he said the old guidelines had such a low protein recommendation. Get this, Kevin, they are recommending, they're increasing the protein, how much you need, by 50 to 100%. Basically, they were telling us, of course, because certain people in our society, groups of them, think we shouldn't eat meat.
Well, they're wanting us to not eat the furry animals.
Because of the cow gas and stuff like that, right? But anyway, and basically what he said was the old guidelines, protein guidelines, were basically, seemed like they were just to prevent starvation and withering away. That's not what our children need. And that's not what we need as we get older to maintain muscle mass and stay healthy. Basically, they were just barely giving us enough. And that's not what's needed. I like that. He said these new protein guidelines are designed for American kids to thrive, and they're based on science, not dogma. This is what I love most about, RFK and all of his people. McCary said the rise in insulin resistance, just what Peter Berg said, and whole body inflammation, all the inflammation, Kevin, that's affecting people and affecting kids today stems from a protein-poor, micronutrient-poor, ultra-processed, refined carbohydrate diet. Again, the carbs, that's just a huge part of it. He said, we're going to finally address the root causes of our broken healthcare system, he said. So that's, this is all good. One of the things that RFK said, he said that a lot of the stuff that was being pushed on us was basically done to protect corporate profit taking. Of course.
Seeing a lot of similarities between our food companies and our pharmaceutical companies and our
I know.
Our politicians. Oh my goodness.
I know.
Are they getting along
I know.
and have they had a plan? And sounds almost diabolical.
It really does. It really does. The new guidelines, of course, are going to be, and he believes it's going to be the most effective path to better health and lower healthcare costs. Because his thought is, I'm telling you, it's worked for us so far. It keeps you going. You're healthier, Well, Kevin's amazing. I mean, he's still 65, 70 pounds down and going strong. So,
well, when COVID came
and we don't starve,
both got
folks.
sick. We usually don't get sick. We've been pretty healthy our whole lives. But when I checked you into the hospital and they tried to wheel you off, and I said, "Wait a minute, I'm sick too." So they went ahead and checked me in. That way I could wander the halls and keep an eye on you. And
he was afraid that they would haul me off and put me on a ventilator.
well,
So
yeah, I wasn't going to let that
followed
happen.
me around.
But they stuck me in a closet.
Welcome to the world of Kevin and Wanetta.
They stuck me in a closet. And anyway, when I slipped out of the closet and I started wandering around, I remember the news was saying the hospital was absolutely full. There were no beds. Every place around the ER room was dark. The hallways, the lights were turned out. And I don't know if it was just coincidence, but
It was so weird.
there was a lot of empty hospital and a lot of empty beds there when I was in.
Well, and it was bad. It was bad.
Oh, yeah.
It hurt a lot of people. It killed a lot of people. The whole thing was just, we were just talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting off on that, saturated fat, he said we're not going to tiptoe around saturated fat or dairy. You don't need to push low-fat milk on kids. Just so you guys know, there's more sugar in low-fat milk. You're better off to have whole milk. Have you seen the milk mustache? Everybody's been drink whole milk.
I can remember
so funny.
My grandparents in the refrigerator, when you get the milk out, you always had to pour the cream off the top.
Oh, I know. So funny. Limit and avoid. The new guidelines are more direct. Avoid sugar-sweetened beverages such as sodas, fruits, drinks, and energy drinks. And just so you guys know, sugary sodas, they really aren't good. A teaspoon of sugar is about 4 grams. A 12-ounce can of Coca-Cola contains 39 grams of sugar.
I'm not a scientist, but from what I've heard, I don't even think the sugar is real sugar. So we've got a lot of artificial stuff there that's not good for us, probably.
Well, and we eat some of it, but we try not to overdo. Consume less alcohol for better overall health too. So honestly, folks, it's going back to me. I think of your Grandma Austin. I think that it's going back to a simpler way of life and cooking more things from scratch. Of course, I know people don't have a lot of time and they get irritated with that, but it's good. I think it's good.
Yep.
We need to get back to stuff that's real for sure.
Are hamburgers real? I'm excited.
Hamburgers. Oh, that was one of the things. I didn't read it, but basically, I think Marty McCary was talking about how cheeseburgers, hamburgers, meats like that were demonized. And he said, you know what? They shouldn't have been.
That's right.
They shouldn't have been demonized.
Maybe not so much on the bun part, but the hamburgers. Yep.
Well, if you're healthy and young, you can just not too much. You can eat a bun. You can eat a whole wheat bun. For sure. Updating the childhood vaccine schedule to lower how many vaccines kids get. Did you know, Kevin? Again, poor RFK. He is being sued out the wazoo.
You know what? If you're not getting sued right now, you're probably not doing anything.
Yeah. He's doing some good stuff. According to HHS, this is on their new page, their updated page since the 1st of January. All vaccines previously recommended, they're still going to be available. And there are people suing him over this too. They're still going to be available. If people want to take them, they were giving them 17. And keep in mind, for each disease, this is 17 diseases that they were being vaccinated for. Some of them have multiple vaccinations. That's how you ended up with so many the first year. They are now recommending no longer 17 diseases that they are giving vaccines for. but 10 diseases in childhood. And Trump, one of the things, I don't know if you guys saw this, but on Truth Social, he came out, and I mean, it was in capital letters. I don't know, you never know what prompts the things that he says, but he came out and he said, pregnant women don't take Tylenol, no matter what. That was what he said. And he also said, and space out the vaccinations that you give your little ones. This was probably a week ago that he said this. So makes you wonder what he's seeing, makes you wonder what he knows. The thing that I like on the HHS page, it makes it clear that the days of bullying and coercion to parents needs to be over.
Definitely.
It recommends all vaccines for which there is consensus among peer nations. We were the top. We gave more vaccines than anybody. And those days are over. Basically, they have that was what Trump told him, get a consensus. What is medically necessary? And basically, that's what they went to, is the 10. It also allows for more flexibility and choice with less coercion. Doctors threatening, you either get the shot or we're going to kick you out of our clinic. That needs to stop.
Well, and just a simple way of looking at things, every time I go to the doctor anymore, I'm good. I'm glad to see Dr. Green, but we have to go to another, and I'm always suspicious because it seems like everybody is making their decisions on what the insurance companies and what the lawyers say.
That's so true.
And I don't think that's a conspiracy. I think that it's becoming pretty evident that has driven so many things.
Everybody's paid off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Really.
Yep.
Everybody's paid off. It's a system of you do this and I'll get this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this and you get this.
Yep.
It's an unholy partnership.
Kind of like the mafia and the mob.
Racketeering, I know. The other thing he said that I really liked is this is all going to be accompanied by a strengthening of vaccine research. They're going to continue testing and doing research. They're not going to stop learning.
Science is good.
I love that. And of course, he cut the funding for transgender-related procedures, and he's being sued for that too, of course, because they get a lot of money for all the stuff that they were doing, all the cutting up on the children and doing the cutting their breasts off and doing the hormone, stopping the hormones. Yeah. Crazy.
Awful.
Evil. So crazy.
Evil.
Here it is. Judge orders Department of Health to restore funding. Yeah. I like these two also. This one, investigating widespread fraud in Minnesota. This was on there too, using DOJ, Treasury, and other departments to stop it. Let me tell you, this is over the last 2 or 3 days, Kevin. I don't know if you heard about this. You guys might have heard of it fleetingly. I don't know if they talked a whole lot about it. This just came out today, one of them. Trump administration ends temporary protection for Somalis in U.S. Basically, the Biden administration had previously extended through, I think March 15th is when they had extended it through, at least. And they would have probably extended it some more. But here's what was said about it. Basically, he's telling them to go home. He said, it's time you leave. Everything's better in Somalia. You need to go. The Trump administration has decided to end temporary protection for Somali nationals. Officials said on January 13th, I like this. Temporary means temporary, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem told the Epoch Times. Country conditions, this is her words, in Somalia have improved to the point that it no longer meets the law's requirement for temporary protected status. Further, allowing Somali nationals to remain temporarily in the U.S. is contrary to our national interests. We're going to put America first with all the money that they've taken, all the money. Mm-hmm. And they think it's okay because we're infidels and we need to be paying them tribute. That's just kind of what they do. That's how a lot of Muslims roll, unfortunately.
I don't think that's assimilating into a population, obviously not.
And I'm going to state the obvious. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're not everybody is like that, but there are a lot of them, and that tends to be part of their belief system.
Got a lot of bad characters involved in everything right now.
Yeah, like lying. I think it's called taqiyya in Muslim. It's okay if you're lying to an infidel.
Oh, yeah. Well.
Here, this went along with it too. U.S. to suspend visa processing for 75 countries. Now, folks, I'm not talking about Visa credit cards in the store. I'm talking about the visas, which allow people to come into the country. Somalia has been in the spotlight as there has been welfare fraud in Minneapolis, mainly committed by the Somali community. This was from Washington, D.C. on the 14th. Basically, it says for 75 countries, the State Department told the Epoch Times they are no longer going to be allowed in. Now, in November, the Trump administration ordered a crackdown on visas under a revised public charge rule of immigration law. It instructs immigration officers to deny visas to applicants who would likely need to rely on public assistance. That's kind of it's like, okay, I need to figure out, are you going to rely on public assistance? Trump decided to just cut through it all and make it easy for him. And here is a list as long as your arm with 75 countries. And I'm just going to tell you, folks, a lot of them, looking down the list, a lot of them are third world countries, which doesn't necessarily mean they're evil, okay? I'm not saying that. But they come over here, especially if they are, and I'm just going to say it, there are a lot of Muslim countries also here that, again, feel that it's a good thing to come and take the money. It's not a big deal. And again, kind of like a tribute because we're infidels. Mm-hmm. So, he cut through the noise and he said, if anybody is from these countries, then don't let them in. That's pretty easy.
Got to start somewhere.
And it's a pause. He's not saying it's permanent, but he is saying that it's a pause. They need to get through this. They need to figure out all this.
We have to get our nation fixed, and that way everybody's got a future.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Here's what Trump said. Billions of dollars were stolen by really bad and deranged people. He wrote that on Truth Social. And Kristi Noem agreed, and she said that the politicians have just turned a blind eye to it. She said for years, these corrupt activist politicians have refused to protect Minnesota, and they are now proposing illegal action, standing up to ICE, of course, getting people killed, to keep their stranglehold on control and continue stealing from the American citizens. So this has all got to come out in the wash, Kevin. I did have one other article to do. This is over the escalation in Iran. 2,000 Iranians dead, millions committed to final battle as regime uses military weapons on people. Folks, there is a growing, breathing church in Iran. Mm-hmm. And did you know that some of them, Kevin, are seeing this as the final battle? They're serious. They are committed to this. And there are people, I saw a video today that they're literally going through and they're having to pick out bodies and see whose is who. And of course, most protesters are looking for assistance from America, looking to President Trump. On Monday, the president imposed a 25% tariff on nations that trade with Iran, with more options on the table. He was scheduled to meet with them yesterday, on Tuesday. This was from a couple of days ago. To determine the next steps for the U.S. after the State Department issued a warning for Americans in Iran to leave now. Mm-hmm. It's all happening very quickly. Yep. The White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt explained, diplomacy is always the first option for the president. He's told all of you last night that what you're hearing publicly from the Iranian regime is quite different from the messages the administration is receiving privately.
And he gave him a clear warning.
I think they're trying to figure out how to get out. Mm-hmm. They can't. Surely they don't imagine they're going to hold on to power. I can't imagine. Mm-hmm. And horrible things. They're standing up on top of buildings and just mowing them down. Yep. Just horrible. And of course, they don't have guns. They can't defend themselves. But despite the perils, the protesters say that this is the final battle. Mm. The founder and president of the Iraqi Christian Relief Council, Juliana Taimoorazi, I think is how you pronounce her name, says that this hinge of history, that's interesting, for Iran and the Middle East needs prayer. Yes. We must pray for the safety of these young men and women who are in prison. Pray for the families of the deceased. Pray for those that are brave. They have taken to the streets. We must pray for divine wisdom for Bibi Netanyahu, for the European Parliament, for President Trump.
Yes.
Now, they're hanging protesters too.
There's no telling what
I can't even imagine. Yeah. Elon Musk had Starlink put in, and they took out Starlink. Of course, they don't want people to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Trump said when he found out about them hanging them, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. He said, we will take very strong action. Yeah. Here's what else he said on Truth Social. He said, Iranian patriots, and he said, keep protesting, all in capitals. Take over your institutions, all in capitals. Save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price.
Yes.
Help is on the way. He ended his Truth Social post by writing, Mega. Make Iran great again.
This is their Tiananmen Square. This is their time. This is God's people stepping up.
And folks, I don't know if you know this or not, but according to recent data, again, this was CBN, this was Christian broadcast, so they always look at things. That's why I love to go to them for stuff like this. They look at things from a Christian point of view. According to recent data, over 1 million Iranians have converted to Christianity just in recent years.
That's amazing.
Iran has the fastest growing church in the world. And you hear all these stories about God and Jesus appearing to them in dreams. The taxi drivers, they talk about all these taxi drivers that are now starting to spread the gospel because of the dreams and the things where God does not have a witness. He becomes a witness himself.
Yes.
Yeah. According to Reuters, U.S. military action against Iranian regime may start within the next 24 hours. And folks, this is Wednesday evening, January 14th. So I guess we'll see. Now, I had one more thing that I was going to share with you, and then we're going to beat it for the day. I'm going to let Kevin have some comment time too. I'm going to close you with this. This was actually shared. It was reposted by Tyler Boyer, who's the COO of Turning Point Action, I believe. Let's see. He said, this is from Trump. This was from Truth Social. And this was just a couple of days ago. I'm going to lead a movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. You remember we talked last week about Venezuela. Trump has been pushing them to try to get some action on this cheating, this obvious cheating that's going on. You know, it's not just the mail-in ballots, it's the machines. It's many things that are going on that need to be answered. Trump says, I'm going to lead this movement to get rid of mail-in ballots. And also, while we're at it, highly inaccurate, very expensive, and seriously controversial, and here we have it, voting machines. He brings them up again. This wasn't a telegraph. This was a statement, which cost 10 times more than accurate and sophisticated watermark paper, which is faster and leaves no doubt at the end of the evening as to who won and who lost the election. We are now the only country in the world that uses mail-in voting. Did you know that? Isn't that crazy? Yeah.
It's time to do something.
Time to do something.
Knows it. He's going to do it.
All others gave it up because of the massive voter fraud encountered. We will begin the effort, which will be strongly opposed by the Democrats because they cheat at levels never before seen. By signing an executive order to help bring honesty to the 2026 midterm elections. Remember, the states are merely an agent for the federal government in counting and tabulating the votes, and that's a good point.
Yes.
In 2020, we had 2 or 3 states, or, well, the swing states, that basically destroyed it for us, for all of us. And they don't have the right to do that. Let's see. For tabulating the votes. They must do what the federal government, as represented by the President of the United States, tells them, for the good of our country to do. With their horrible radical left policies like open borders, men playing in women's sports, transgender and woke for everyone, and so much more, Democrats are virtually unelectable without using the completely disproven mail-in scam elections mail-in scam. Elections can never be honest with mail-in ballot and voting, and everybody, in particular, the Democrats, knows this. I and the Republican Party will fight like hell to bring honesty and integrity back to our elections. The mail-in ballot hoax using voting machines that are a complete and total disaster must end now. Remember, without fair and honest elections and strong and powerful borders, you don't even have a semblance of a country. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, and most of this, especially from the middle of it down, was all in capital letters. Mm-hmm. He's serious. I think he was trying to get them. He said it over and over. You're going to have to blow up the filibuster. Yeah. You're going to have to do something. He saw that they weren't going to blow up the filibuster, so he's not wasting any more time.
Can't. We've already lived through 4 years of just staying back and letting things work themselves out, and we can't do that anymore.
Can't do it again.
We have to take both the bull by the horns, and this is the time to start setting things right.
Yep, that is so true.
The evidence is there, and the truth needs to be spoken, and we need to not be arrested for speaking the truth. We need to get back to America. It's time to be back to who we are.
Yeah.
And it's up to the church. You know what? When we step up as a church, God's going to honor our prayers. Mm-hmm. And as we need to pray for our leaders, we need to pray for our national leaders, for Donald Trump, for world leaders as they try to sort out what the kind of country they're going to be. And also for our community leaders, our mayors, our school board members, our library board members. It's important now for the church. We've got to go, and we've got to go be in public. We have got to be out there, being involved and raising the standard of Christ.
Yeah, for sure. Well, folks, thanks for joining us today. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to keep that good news going. And, we're trying to bring information. Like Hosea says,
Mm-hmm.
You got to have information. You don't want to be destroyed for a lack of knowledge. It's good to know what's going on. Now, we hope you'll join us again next week. Bring somebody with you. And, at that time, and hopefully always, we're going to be bringing you more news, more conversation, hopefully more encouragement to keep you informed, inspired, and always independent. God bless.